The history of teaching golf, of course, it goes back 120 or more years, informally probably 500, has us, the golf professionals, generally operating under the assumption that we have to start with a small club like an 8 or a 9 or a pitching wedge and build up to the long ones and work on accuracy before speed and power. Now that all changed, even though it was certainly true as recently as when I was a boy, that was how it was often taught. In fact, they would say, we'll hit an 8-iron this year, next year I'll let you try a wood. Nowadays, I don't think that matches people's mentality anymore. It's not realistic, particularly in the light of how much golf lessons cost nowadays. But it still has some validity, because when we think of hitting with power, we think of the driver. And of course, if you hit it powerfully but offline, then you're never going to see the ball again, so it's sort of irrelevant how well you hit your 8-iron or chip or putt. So really, we're obviously looking for both. We'd like power and accuracy. But we can, looking at that old technique, derive some benefit by saying that at any given moment in your development as a golfer, it's good to look to the smaller club that you can absolutely count on, because generally speaking, it's agreed that the shorter ones are easier to hit than the longer ones. And so it takes a little patience when you're learning to play the game, and teaching it for that matter. But be prepared, those of you learning, that if you're not working well with one of the longer clubs, to go back to the shorter one that you know does work and refuel your enthusiasm and confidence with that club for a few shots, and then go back to the troublesome one and see if that refueling had done some good. Now there's another benefit. When you go with a short iron, I've got a 9-iron here, you just saw me hit a couple of drivers, then you're going to be making a slow swing because the club is heavier, shorter, moves slower, and you can hear by the sound what sort of contact you've made and what kind of lift you can expect, and of course what accuracy you want. And these are not clubs that are supposed to go far. If you need to go farther than an 9-iron, you go with an 8-iron. So go at 3/4 speed and learn to perfect the quality of contact. So once your instructor has you hitting the ball generally well, swinging well, preparing well, then it's about starting off with a small club at a lower speed, and then building up your awareness of what, if anything, changes when you go harder. That's really what we're looking for. And so that one would give me confidence to go a little harder on the next one. And I've got to admit it, whenever I'm practicing, I start slowly, and if I start hitting well, I just go harder. I want to break it basically and see how hard can I go before it breaks. I think it's a reasonable test of technique. One of the biggest influences on this, of course, was Jack Nicklaus and his instructor Jack Grout, because they were the first people to start exploring that alternative view of the golfing universe by saying, let's do power first and go for accuracy later. And of course, he was the most dominant player in the second half of the 20th century, and so everybody rightly looked at his technique and the way he was taught as being the new right way to do it. But I still think that the benefits accrue from going with a shorter club at a lower speed.